begin. Alright, here we go. So, last night, we did something really quite extraordinary. Thank you also again, Smiler, for the clips. I was checking through some of those earlier today. I need to, organize things. I need to go back through the video. I did get it highlighted, so it should stay up forever and always now. If you want to go back and review the video at any point. So the VOD it's highlighted, it's not going away. But yeah, remember, continue to clip things tonight. If you want to let me know that you've clipped something, great. I'd love to hear it. Because yeah, I mean, as you saw at the end there, you weren't here for the whole stream, I guess, but for what you did see, we were blown away by what GPT-4 was providing for us. And so, yeah, that's the thing that I'm looking for tonight. So, let's see, that's there. So I still have GPT-4 up from yesterday. I don't know why it's not on my screen here. Curious. We're gonna load the game, so we'll get that going. But in this scene, there's the source. It says it's visible, but it's not. Excuse me. Let's check properties. Oh. Curious. That one, nope. That one, there it is. There we are. Alright. So, you can see the tail end of that conversation last night. So it has now been 2 days since GPT-4 was released, and the market improvement over 3.5 in terms of its capability to understand and comprehend things, give us instructions, work things out, which I actually have some questions that I'm going to ask GPT-4 tonight. So, looking for some clarification, ultimately. So, with that in mind, let's get started with that, because there are a couple of things that had some, I was concerned about, I had questions about. So, one of the things was the calculations. I'm going to let GPT-4 know. So first of all, I'm going to let GPT-4 know that today is... Whoops, keyboard. Click on that. I just wanted to let you know you're actually... live in March, what is today, 16th, 17th, 16th. 16th, 2023, which means KSP2 has been released. I was secretly... I can't spell. Secretly using your instructions in KSP2 to launch rockets. What do you think of that? All right, here goes. Oh, we gotta click the thing. Alright, GPT-4. I don't have emotions or personal opinions. Great, but I'm glad that my instructions were helpful for you in Kerbal Space Program 2. On the first game, yes, we know this. Introduced in KSP2. Okay, great. Look at this. Rocketry or mechanics and general gameplay tips from the original game should still be applicable to the sequel. Yes. This is true. The principles of rocketry and such remain true. One thing to note, the decoupler, did I spell that right? Yeah, I think I spelled that right. Often mentioned, has been renamed to the, what do we call it now? The TDS or TD? We're gonna have to load it up because I don't remember myself. Is it TD12 or TDS? TS12? Decoupling TD12. Decoupler. So we'll let it know about that. And it knows that I'm referring to KSP2 this time. Appreciate your. I'll refer to the decoupler as the TD12. What? It's based on the original KSP2, and there may be other differences or new features in KSP2 that I'm not aware of. However, I'll do my best to provide helpful guidance and tips based on the. So it knows that its knowledge set. And then when I say knows, I put that in air quotes, right? It knows that its knowledge set is out of date and limited in that respect. So I wonder what other things have changed since KSP1. Like, have any of these other stack decouplers changed? I don't know. Huh. What else should I tell it? Should I tell it that we have no science gear? Just in case? Let's do that. Let's tell it that... Okay. Other things you should know about KSP2 is that it is early release and as such has no science gear or equipment. Early release date. Great. And more feature as it's possible science equipment and related gameplay mechanics could be introduced in the future updates. This is true. We're looking forward to them. General guidance on general aspects of the game, such as building and launching rockets, orbital mechanics, and maneuvers. Okay. Now, the other question that I have, because if we scroll up a ways here, there was a bunch of math, right? There were these calculations. Right here. So it's showing, using their rocket equation, it calculated the actual delta V based on mass, remaining fuel. Oh. It was running its rocket equation based on Earth gravity, not Kerbal gravity. See where it says the engine is at 345 seconds. That's the specific impulse of the LV909 Terrier liquid fuel engine. And it's showing 9.81 meters per second squared. That's Earth gravity. That's not Kerbal gravity. It actually mentions earlier, yeah, see here's the LV909 Terrier liquid fuel engine at an ISP of 345, which in the game, let's switch over here, it's actually 335. So there's another key difference. So I want to ask it about some of these things because we saw last night that it was able to correct itself when I asked a question. Right? So let's go down here. One other update. The LV 909 shows an ISP in KSP2 of 335 seconds. That may be important for future calculations. Great. Okay, so that's now entered into its knowledge sphere. Can indeed be important for future calculations as it affects the engine's fuel efficiency and overall performance. It's now telling us about specific impulse and how effectively a rocket engine uses propellant. A higher ISP means the engine is more efficient, allowing your spacecraft to achieve greater delta V, the change in velocity, for a given amount of fuel. When discussing KSP2 in the future, I'll take this updated ISP value into account when providing guidance related to the LV909 engine or any calculations that involve it. Okay, so looking back on your calculations when I was asking if we had enough delta V to make orbit, you came up with a figure that seemed unusually large, nearly 10 times the delta V we saw in game. Can you explain that further? Can you explain that discrepancy? Further? Can you explain that discrepancy further? More? How would you say that? I'll leave it as further. Let's see what GPT4 says. You're correct that the delta V value cited may have been significantly larger. Yeah. Several factors, such as incorrect assumptions. Okay. Made based on some assumptions about the spacecraft's mass, fuel consumption, and engine efficiency. Between KSP and KSP2, knowledge is based on the original KSP. Okay. Game mechanics and part parameters or other aspects between KSP and 2 that affect the delta V. Calculation errors. It's possible that I made an error in my calculations which led to an incorrect delta V value. It would be helpful to know more details about your spacecraft's configuration, such as the exact mass, fuel capacity, engine parameters. Alternatively, you could provide your in-game delta V value, and I can try to work backward to determine the cause of the discrepancy. Okay. So, kind of a mixed bag there. Yeah, kind of a mixed bag. I mean, it's not entirely clear, but I get it. Like, there were some things that it may or may not have known that led to that. But at the time, I was still a bit, starry-eyed, right? Like, looking at things. I've had a chance to reflect and think about the experience of last night, and also kind of review some of the stuff, and like, okay, hold on a second. These are some things that, had I been a little more present and attentive, I might have seen them right away. But I didn't. I saw them later upon reflection. That's fine. But yeah, these are some very valid points as to why those calculations may have been off. I get it. So going forward, we, as the human interaction, like, we want to make sure that we use clear data, right? Clear and obvious information. It doesn't seem aware that, and not Kerbin's. Oh yeah, let's ask it that. Okay. Also, did you use Earth's mass and gravity for calculations? or Kerbin's? I use Kerbin's mass and gravity effect, not Earth's. Okay. So then we should, here are some key parameters for Kerbin. Mass is 5 equatorial radius. Gravitational parameters. 3.5 surface gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared. Okay. So that is almost Earth gravity, as it turns out. Okay, so what are Earth's key parameters? I want to see the difference. Like, what's it going to tell us between Kerbin and Earth? 5.972 versus 5.29. 10 to the 24th versus 10 to the 22. Equatorial radius. Wow, we're 10 times larger than Kerbin. Surface gravity of 9.8. Okay. Interesting. And it says 9.81. Okay. So that's in line with the wiki right there. So it's slightly more than Earth. I mean, it's a rounding error at this point, right? It's a 1/10 of a meter per second rounding error. And it's not even that. 9.81 is 0.004 meters per second squared difference between Earth and Kerbin. Probably the key things to note are the equatorial radius, the mass. We're at 10 to the 24th. Kerbin's at 10 to the 22, right? And then we're 6,900,000 meters. So we're 10x on the equatorial radius. Gravitational parameter, 3.5, 10 to the 12th meters cubed per second squared. We are 3.98, 10 to the 14th. Obviously due to the mass, because we're, 2 orders of magnitude larger in that respect. So those are the sorts of things that would play into those calculations, right? When we were looking at possible errors as to the results that it provided us. But it's good to know these things. Okay, well, shall we continue on with our intended mission? Okay, great. Good to know all of those things. I'd like to move on to the next mission. Can you help me plan a mission to the Mun? Okay, so tell me, should we go to the Mun and just do a flyby, or should we land and come back safely? What do you think we should do first? Should we just do the flyby? Because that's in line with like the career mode, right? But if we wanted it to be really ambitious, push the envelope. What do you say we do? I'll leave it to you, chat. I'm gonna go get some more hot water. Oh, I guess I clicked on the wrong thing. Huh. Whoops. That's fine. Okay. I feel like the flyby won't take that long. As long as that's true, let's flyby first. Do the flyby first. If it ends up being time for only one mission to stream, let's land. Oh. Yeah, I plan on being on for the next few hours. We could probably do both. But yeah, let's do the flyby then. Because here's the thing. GPT4, as you saw last night, does understand the usage of time warping. So warping to the Mun for TLI, like, or yes, TMI, transmuter injection, will not be a problem. I'd like to do a flyby mission. I guess I gotta scroll here. I can help you plan a flyby mission. In Kerbal Space Program 2, here's a step-by-step guide. Build your rocket! Yes, we want to... Alright, design a rocket with sufficient delta V to reach the Mun and return to Kerbin. You need approximately 860 meters per second in delta V to get from low Kerbin orbit to the Mun. About 310 meters per second for the Mun flyby and to escape its sphere of influence. And another 320 to return to Kerbin. Make sure to account for additional delta V for potential course corrections and to achieve a stable orbit around Kerbin before the Mun transfer. 2. Achieve orbit around Kerbin. Launch your rocket and get into a stable orbit around Kerbin. Aim for an altitude of about 80 to 100 kilometers. Plan your Mun transfer. Set the Mun as your target on the map view. To perform an efficient transfer, you'll want to initiate your burn when the Mun is about 45 degrees ahead of your spacecraft in its orbit. This is known as the Mun transfer window. Perform the transfer burn. Point your spacecraft towards a prograde marker on the nav ball and perform a burn to raise your apoapsis to intersect the Mun's orbit. Keep an eye on the map view to see when you have a Mun encounter. Adjust your trajectory. Once you have a Mun encounter, you may need to make minor adjustments to your trajectory using radial, normal, or anti-normal burns to get a close flyby. Aim for a periapsis, closest approach, of around 10 to 50 kilometers above the Mun's surface. Fly by the Mun. Time warp until you enter the Mun's sphere of influence. Enjoy the view as you fly by the Mun. Plan your return to Kerbin. As you're leaving the Mun's sphere of influence, create a maneuver node. Create a maneuver node. To adjust your trajectory so that your Kerbin periapsis is within the atmosphere, between 30 and 40 kilometers, for aerobraking and landing. Which is what we did last night when we went to orbit, right? We came back with aerobraking, and we used that target. We ended up being, 32 kilometers-ish? Which ended up bringing us down perfectly. Like, it wasn't a splashdown, but it was a landing, and it was safe, and it was all good. Next step, perform the return burn. Execute the maneuver node to adjust your trajectory towards Kerbin. Re-entry and landing. Follow the same re-entry and landing procedure as before. Face your spacecraft's heat shield towards the retrograde vector. It got it right this time. Remember last time we double-checked and it's like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. I should have said retrograde. So this time it got it right on the first time. Deploy the parachute when it's safe to do so, and land safely on Kerbin. Remember to quick save. Thank you, Smiler. Before critical steps, like the Mun transfer burn and return burns. You can revert F9 if something goes wrong or you need to make adjustments. Dude, this is so good. Okay. Can you help me build the rocket to do this? Here we go. Certainly! I'll provide a simple rocket design to help you perform a Mun flyby mission in KSP2. Keep in mind that my module is based on the original KSP, so some part names or specifications might be different. You can adjust design accordingly based on the available parts in the game. Rocket components from top to bottom. Okay, command pod. Let's go grab our command pod. We know this. MK1. Bam. Parachute. Obviously, we need that to safely recover. There's the MK16. I gotta scroll up here. It is recommending a heat shield this time. Where is thermal? HS125. Decoupler. It got it right. Because I told it earlier, remember? Just a handful of minutes ago. I told it about the decoupler update. And it's using it in the instructions for the TD12. Alright, service module. FLT400 fuel tank. Bloop. The engine. We're going to use the LV909 Terrier liquid engine. We're going to add another TD12 decoupler. Transfer stage is the FLT800 fuel tank. Wait. Did I just... What is this? This is a, T800. I'm already lost on the instructions. So, T12, yeah, the 909 engine, the decoupler, 800 fuel tank, the LVT45 engine, the swivel goes there, another decoupler, booster stage, 2x or 3x FLT800 fuel tanks or similar. Do I have structures, right? What do you think we should do? Should we do 2 or 3, chat? This is the booster stage. 3? Okay, let's do 3, the TVR 1180C. And then FLT 800 fuel tanks. Double checking FLT 800 fuel tanks. LVT30 Reliant engines. Staging. Pay attention to your staging. Okay, stage 1 is the LVT30 Reliant engine and T45 swivel engine ignition. Wait, what? Okay, I must have misunderstood this. This rocket's design should provide enough delta V for a MUN flyby mission. It uses a 3-stage design with a booster stage for the initial launch, a transfer stage to help you reach the MUN, and a service module for the MUN flyby and return to Kerbin. Make sure to add fins to the booster stage for stability during the ascent. And remember to set up your staging correctly in the vehicle assembly building. Please let me know if you have any questions. Yes, I have questions. Okay, so... I'm a little unclear with the staging versus what you told me to build. Whoops, I'm gonna switch the computers. A little unclear with the staging based on what you told me to build. I added 3 FLT800 tanks with engines under the what is the engine? T45. T45. Is that wrong? Yeah, I'm not clear. Apologize for the confusion. Updated rocket configuration and staging. So command pod, yeah, parachute. Attached to the top of the command pod, heat shield. Yep. Place below the command pod, decoupler. TD12 decoupler. Service module, which is the T400 fuel tank. TD12 decoupler below the fuel tank. Transfer stage, FLT, here's the T45. Decoupler below the fuel tank, booster stage, 3X. Arranged radially around the central core. Oh. Wait. I'm still confused. So we got the T45, then we added a decoupler. The booster stage is 3 FLT800 fuel tanks with engines, LV T30 Reliant or similar, arranged radially around the central core. Ignition of all booster engines, 3X engines attached to the FLT800 tanks, and the LV T45 swivel engine. Stage 2, radio decouplers fused, or TD12 decouplers for separating the radial booster tanks, only if you've attached the FLT800 tanks radially around the central core. Curious. So, right here, 9 through 11 has me confused. So we've got the T45 below the fuel tank. I'm going to ask it. Step 10 has me confused. Which fuel tank do I attach that decoupler? Step 10 should not include a decoupler. Here's the corrected rocket configuration. Oh my goodness. Okay. LV909 Terrier. Decoupler. Transfer stage is the FLT800 fuel tank. And then the engine. I'm going to delete that. Booster stage. 3 FLT800 fuel tanks or similar with engines. radially around the central core using radial decouplers. Oh. Ignition of all the booster engines, 3X engines attached to the FLT800 tanks and the LVT45 swivel engine. Okay. Can I attach all the radial decouplers at once? It hasn't yet told me how to do this. To do this, follow these steps. Vehicle assembly building, select the radial decoupler you want to use. TT38K. Press the X key to change the symmetry mode. Alright, so there it is. I gotta switch back to this computer. You'll see a number next to your cursor indicating the number of symmetry points. Press X until you see the number 3 for a tri-coupler configuration, or the desired number of entry points. In this case, it's right here next to me. It's on the bottom bar. I think it does. I mean, I did not open a new window. This, like, I can scroll all the way back up to... Yeah, if I grab the... So you can see all the way up here. Yeah, I never closed this window. So it's basing this conversation with the context of all of our previous conversations. But me being me as an advanced user, and also recognizing that it never did actually tell us how to do this particular thing, I wanted to bring it up tonight to make sure that it knows that I didn't know how to do that. So having this additional instruction set, like press the X key to change the symmetry. Now click on the central tank, in this case the FLT800 fuel tank, attach to the LV, and attach the radial decoupler symmetrically around the core. Like that. Attach the FLT800 fuel tanks with their respective engines. So, 800s. Is that... I feel like that's... Alright, there's the snap. And then there's... And then we're going to attach the T30 Reliance. Bam! Okay. It'll automatically snap into place symmetrically. Here's a question. Oh, I gotta switch computers. Can I put nose cones on those tanks? It doesn't seem very aerodynamic right now. Yes, you can definitely put nose cones on the radial tanks to improve the aerodynamics of your rocket. Adding nose cones will reduce drag during the ascent, which can improve the efficiency of your rocket and save fuel. To do this, from the parts number, for the FLTA T800, you want to choose a 1.25 meter nose cone. Press the X key to change the symmetry mode. It's making note of things. All right. Is this the nose cone? No. How about this one? This one works. That seems large. Does that seem like the right nose cone? I mean, it's still a small nose cone. Alternatively, I suppose, you could also go with these guys, which seem a bit, there we go. Let's line those up a little bit better. Yes. Yes, I like that. Looks pretty. What do you think? All right. Can you tell me the staging again, please? Of course, here's the staging for the rocket configuration we've discussed. Ignition of all booster engines, 3X, attached radial, and the LV-T45. Okay, so there's that. That's the... there's decouplers. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on there. There's the 45. That should be down here, it looks like. Okay, ignition of all booster engines and the LV-T45. So this is the LV-T45. There's all those three on stage 1. 2 is the radial decouplers. Bam, right there. 3 is a transfer stage separation for that decoupler. Okay, there's the transfer stage. And the 4 is the LV909. Stereo ignition, engine ignition. And then 5 is the decoupler, service module separation. And then last but not least, of course, is the parachute. Look at that. Okay, I've got it set up. Okay, I set all of that up according to your instructions. What's the timeline look like? From launch. Here's a rough timeline for the mission from launch to Mun flyby. Oh my, and back to Kerbin. This is gonna be, this might be kind of long. Approximate may need adjustment. So T+0, launch, ignite all booster engines, and the LV-T45 swivel engine, stage 1. Begin a gentle gravity turn towards the east, 90-degree heading on the nav ball. 30 to 45 seconds, booster separation, once the radial FL-T800 tanks are empty. Minute and a half to 2.5 minutes, main engine cutoff, MECO. Continue burning the LV-T45 swivel until your apoapsis reaches around 80 to 100 kilometers. cut off the engine by pressing X. 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. Coasting. We're going to coast towards the apoapsis. Saving fuel. Excellent. All right, 3.5 to 4.5. This is where we have a circularization burn. At apoapsis, perform a prograde burn, stage 4, using the LV909 Terrier engine until your periapsis is also around 80 to 100 kilometers, achieving a stable orbit around Kerbin. 4.5 to 5 minutes preparation for MUN transfer. Set the MUN as your target and create a maneuver node to plan your transfer burn. Adjust the node to achieve a MUN encounter with a flyby trajectory. 5 to 6 minutes, MUN transfer burn. Perform the transfer burn at the maneuver node using the LV909 Terrier engine. This burn may take a few minutes. T plus 6 to 3 or 4 hours, coasting to MUN. Time warp. Oh! While coasting towards the MUN, keep an eye on your trajectory and make any necessary mid-course corrections using the LV909 Terrier engine. 3 to 4 hours, MUN flyby. Oh my gosh. Take screenshots. Observe the MUN surface and enjoy the view. What? It's actually accounting for us gawking at the MUN. Like, take screenshots. I love it. I love it. So good. All right, T plus 4 or 5 hours, return to Kerbin. After the MUN flyby, you'll be on a return trajectory towards Kerbin. Time warp, again, it knows. Time warp. Till you're back in Kerbin's sphere of influence. Reentry. Once you're on a reentry trajectory, separate the service module, stage 5, and ensure the heat shield is facing forward. Reenter Kerbin's atmosphere and slow down due to atmospheric drag. Parachute deployment. When your speed has dropped significantly and you're below 10 kilometers in altitude, deploy the parachute stage 6 to slow down further and safely land. These times and instructions are approximate and vary depending on your specific mission circumstances. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5, at various stages, so you can revert. If you have any other questions, good luck. Okay. We're heading to the launch pad. Ah! Come on, fat fingers. Alright, going to the launch pad. Ah! Excited for the MUN flyby mission. Alright. Parts manager, why are you up here? We have a pilot. Malson Kerman is our test pilot for the MUN flyby. And, look, it's time to sit down, I suppose. Oh, I screwed up the foot. I have expanded feet on my, it's like a bar stool. It's a tall chair, but it has small feet. And I have the soft pads on the floor because the carpet is nice, but having that extra half inch or whatever it is for the pads makes it easier to stand. And standing is necessary because it helps my back, especially after, you know, all these years. God, it was 2019 when I hurt my back. Can you believe that? Like, we were raising money here on Twitch so I could run the Colfax Marathon that year. And we were, like, almost to our goal when I fell down the stairs and hurt my back and couldn't run that marathon because of that. That's bananas to think about. Sorry, off topic, totally, but wow, crazy. All right, we're getting ready to launch. So, y'all ready for this? Here's our MUN flyby attempt based on what GPT-4 has told us to do. This is a GPT-4 design right here, my friends. Look at that. I know, right? It doesn't feel like it's been that long. But there's our rocket. That's the GPT-4 instruction set, if you will. And, yeah. Let's see. Stabilization's on. Throttle's at full. Shall we? Let's go. Alright. Water suppression system is on. Sparks are flying. We have ignition and liftoff. Heck yeah, let's go! Victory music playing. Heck yeah. Alright, let's start turning to the right. Oh! What? No! 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 I did that wrong. Come on, Brad. What are you doing? Alright, hit prograde. Can you recover? Oh my, this does not look good at all. We're gonna revert. Ha! Revert to launch. Confirm revert. I screwed that up way too early. Wow. Way to go, Brad. Okay. Demonstrating true beginner errors. Yep, that's me, right there. Alright. Mispronouncing Xenon. Never leaving Eve. Creating vessel. Seems you have a higher acceleration than I'm used to. Is my impression wrong? I mean, I don't know, yo. Like, it was pretty wild. Yeah. I'm gonna throttle down because that was kind of a bit of madness, if you ask me. Oh, we didn't add any fins, did we? You know, GPT-4 did say add fins for stability. Because it's a smaller rocket? Maybe? Where did it tell us that? I do recall that it said that. I'm just scrolling here because I'm sure it told me to add fins. Make sure to add fins to the booster stage for stability during the ascent. Yeah, this is why we're having problems. Because I did not follow the instructions correctly. Way to go, Brad. Human error. Here's the adjustable fin. Let's use, whoa, those are pretty big. All right, let's go back to the extra smalls. That should be sufficient, right? To the booster stage. Also, we should save this. Mun. Oh, hold up. GPT4. Mun. Flyby. GPT4. Mun. Flyby. Following GPT4 instructions for a Mun flyby. Temporalix? Hey! KSP and an AI nerd. This seems like a brilliant idea. Okay, welcome. This is day 2. We did this last night. Just GPT-4 told us how to build a rocket to go to space, and then got to orbit. It took us 2 tries because I managed to screw up the first one. Tonight we're back for more. We're going to the Mun. We're doing a flyby first, and then hopefully we're gonna attempt a landing after we do the flyby. But I want to just get this down. So yeah, welcome. Oh, and thanks for the follow, Vendor. Glad you're here, all of you. So yeah, looking back on this, so let's scroll back down to the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna try the launch again. Now that we've actually followed GPT-4's instructions and added fins to the booster stage, let's go back to the launch pad. We made 2 attempts, we screwed up both of them. Human error, I will fully acknowledge that. This is Kerbal after all, right? Okay. Yes, day 2, GPT-4. It was just released, right? Okay. Does everything look good? We got the fins on. Got the boosters. I wonder if we can launch with like 50% throttle instead of the full 100%. We have 3 T-30s and a T-45. I feel confident this should lift off. If not, we can always tweak. But, yeah. All right, here we go. Backseat the AI. KSP has some interesting bugs. Yeah, this is true. I agree. All right. Suppression system, sparks are live. Here we go. So one of the things that you may have missed from earlier is I did tell GPT-4 that we are now in the future, and we are rocking KSP2. One of the parts, and particularly the decoupler, has been renamed to the TD12. So now when it gives us instructions for building rockets, it actually uses the appropriate name for that decoupler instead of the old name, which is kind of wild. Like, it's updated its knowledge set, so to speak. I'm going to throttle down even more. Let's start turning to the east. Oh man, those fins add so much more stability. Look at that. Smooth climb out. Much more stable than it was previously. Although we're having a bit of an issue here. No, 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 no. No, no, no. 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 Oh, I'm still causing problems, aren't I? Way to go, Brad. Hit the prograde. Come on, autopilot, do your thing. Meh. Oh, I pushed it too much. Alright, let's revert. I know we can do this. I just... Played for a few hours today. First pass, did quite a bit. Cool. Yeah, I'm not flying right. I'm a little out of practice. Wouldn't think that rocket shape is that unstable. Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's kind of wild. Alright, let's try again. have liftoff. Everything good so far. Malson Kerman is our pilot for today's test flight on the Mun flyby. Alright, 1,200 meters in climbing. I'm just gonna, like, hands off for now. Let's get some altitude first before we start tweaking things. $2,500, 2,700, coming up on 3,000 meters in climbing. A little over 200 meters per second. Alright, 4,000 meters. I'm gonna just give a little push, a little nudge there to the east. 5,000 meters, 300 meters per second. Another little nudge, just keep moving that little indicator to the east. Not too much though, because we saw the instability that was introduced before when I was doing that. Checking on fuel here, looks pretty good. 8,900, 9,000 meters, 400 meters per second. 10,000 meters, this is where okay. Straighten that out, head over towards the, so GPT-4 says at 10,000 we should be pointed towards 45 degrees, which is understandable. It's a bit tricky. Getting ready to stage. We have an apoapsis of 80, 90. Oh my. I'm gonna coast here. Okay, I'm gonna tell GPT-4 we've launched and are on track for an AP of 116 kilometers. Oh, whoops, I put a thing. Next steps in the mission plan. Managing cutoff. If you haven't already, cut off the LV-T45 swivel engine by pressing X to coast towards your apoapsis. Coasting. Time warp. It knows about time warp. Let's just reiterate that. To speed up the coasting phase towards your apoapsis, but be careful not to overshoot. Circularization burn. As you approach your apoapsis, about 20 to 30 seconds before reaching it, perform a prograde burn using the LV-909 Terrier engine. Okay, I still haven't separated the boosters as they still contain fuel. Should I use those two? Yeah, I know, right? It knows all the names. Still have fuel. You can continue to use them and to help you reach orbit. What? Alright. Switch back to this computer. Let's check the map. Alright, here's our AP. Are you gonna give me a, it's not. But in any event, I'm gonna push this over. Also, let's turn off that. Keep your eye on the ball, kids. Push towards the horizon. AP is in 12 seconds. I'm gonna burn. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Oh, look at that view. All right, we're staged. Bam! Whoop. Oh, that stage is out. Miko. Okay. Successfully separated the boosters, and then Miko. Oh man. Okay, I separated the boosters when they ran out, and then the T45. Now we're on the 909. Prograde. AP is 146. We don't have a periapsis yet. We have 900. Oh, here it comes. Periapsis is coming. Oh. Throttle off. Oh my. Okay, that periapsis is hosed. Ha! How did that happen? Oh, because we were burning prograde towards the planet. I totally screwed this up again. That's the thing. I'm talking to GPT-4 over here, trying to fly over here. Should burn on the normal maybe? Or radio out. Yeah, radio out. See if we can't raise that periapsis. I don't want to use too much delta V. 67,000, that's reasonable. When was your last F5? Oh gosh. I haven't LV5. I haven't used F5 yet. Next steps of the mission. Circularization burn. If you haven't already, perform a prograde burn using the LV909 around 80 to 100 kilometers. So put you in a stable orbiter on Kerbin. So as you saw, I just had to burn radial out because I totally hosed that, that burn. Adjust the node to achieve a mun counter with a flyby trajectory. Perform the transfer burn at the maneuver node using the LV909. Okay, I screwed up. Should I tell it that I screwed up? See what it says to do next. Okay. I screwed up. My AP is... $44, 570, and PE is 67, 185. I only have 485 delta V remaining. Can I still do the flyby? And KSP2 breaks things, yeah. Although your current orbit is not ideal, it's still possible to perform a mun flyby. if you carefully plan your maneuvers. To maximize your remaining delta V, follow these steps. Create a maneuver node at the point in your orbit where it is closest to the Mun's orbital path, the ascending or descending node. Make sure the Mun is set as your target. Drag the prograde marker on the maneuver node until you see an encounter with the Mun. Keep an eye on the estimated delta V required for the burn. You might need to make slight adjustments to the node's position or the timing of the burn to minimize the required delta V. Check the required delta V for the burn. If it's less than or close to your remaining 485 meters per second delta V, you should be able to perform the flyby. If it requires significantly more delta V, you might not have enough fuel to complete the flyby and return to Kerbin safely. If the required delta V is within your remaining budget, execute the burn at the maneuver node using the LV-909 Terrier engine. After the burn, time warp until you enter the Mun sphere of influence. Keep an eye on your trajectory and perform any necessary mid-course corrections. If you don't have enough delta V, you may need to revert. What? Oh. Okay. Where is the Mun, anyhow? It's here. Create a maneuver plan. Our first rescue mission, right? No, stop. I don't want to do that yet. No! Oh, God. I'm gonna F5. I know this was a bad time to F5. I should have F5'd back over there, because Okay. Oh, you can't mouse over and do the things like you used to in KSP1. I can drag this. Required delta V. Okay. Where's the Mun? 485. That's it. I don't see a solution here, y'all. Wait, what happened to our chat? Oh God, something happened. Y'all, I missed it. Here's 4. Something happened. Oh, no! No! Multiple things have gone wrong. Oh gosh. Where's... Oh no. What happened? You guys... I have multiple failures across the board. Did you see this? I was concentrating on the game, so I didn't see what happened with GPT-4. Did it refresh or something? Like... Did not notice. Shoot, hang on. None of my conversations are in here. I'm gonna reload. My account. Yes, I know. Where's my conversations? You don't expect an AI not to have attitude. I mean, right? But still. Why? So... What happened? Y'all, what happened? Grr, arg. Okay, hang on. Let me... I was just going to ask it a question, which was basically... I can't find a solution to get me to the Mun. because we apparently do not have enough delta V. What should I do now? That's when I just noticed that the window had refreshed or reset or whatever, and it's gone. Like, so I'm gonna pull this up here. Yes. It shows up in that window. How come I can't see it in this window? Because the zoom level that I had going on. Alright. By the way, you got to see some of the other conversations I've been having with GPT-4. As it turns out, GPT-4 can also speak German and a handful of other languages. Including Klingon, by the way. I discovered that this afternoon. But yeah, I was asking about some German poetry that I covered in college. And it came up with some interesting answers, some of which were different versions of poems that I knew. And I was like, well, wait a second, that's not the version I know. And so we had this back and forth. Really, really kind of wild. And also cool at the same time. And then that's when I asked it about different languages, and then ultimately, being the nerd that I am, I asked it if it knew Klingon. It's like, I know some basic Klingon, I can help you with a phrase or two, but I'm not that adept. Yes, it is rate limited. So as you may have seen here, GPT-4 is capped at 50 messages every 4 hours. Last night, it was 100 messages every 4 hours. So, yeah, I wonder, have we hit our 50 messages? I don't know. But, going back here, I want to tell it about our current situation. I can't seem to create a maneuver node. Did I spell that wrong? Smiley, what happens? Ah! Why did it do that? Try to post a clip. Hang on. I will copy it, paste it. Sorry about that. So that everybody else can see the clip too. Also, I thought... What? Why is that? No, go away. Now my chat is screwed up. Why did... Oh my god, what are you doing? Oh crap. Chat is all screwed up now. Let me refresh this page. See what happens. Oh, I was doing it on Twitch instead of in OBS. That's why. Not that window. Okay, so this window. Activity feed. Oh, there we go. Okay. Where is your username? No, I want to copy. God, this is so complicated. It should not be this difficult. Copy. So I found a way around this. All right. I've added you as a regular, so in theory, you should be able to post links now, Smiler. Go ahead and try it. I hope it works. That's the only way I can figure out how to get around Nightbot blocking people. Bam, there it is. Excellent. Okay, thanks for helping me test that. But I got you added in as a regular, so hopefully I won't block you anymore. Thank you, Nightbot. Yes, you're amazing for letting people in once I clarify and classify. How did I get my Okay, so when you click on the little hamburgers here on the menu, it shows you your conversations. However, at this zoom level, it's not showing them. So I actually had to go out. I had to reduce the zoom level. See how they're popping up now? They're showing in the sidebar. So I had to zoom out in order to find it. And then I just clicked on it again. So it has all of my old conversations in here. For some reason, yeah, I don't know why it does that. But there's a whole bunch of things in here that I've got. So, but I've got it zoomed in because it helps you all in terms of legibility. Like you can actually read along GPT-4 with me because I have it on a smaller screen here. I don't want it to take up, you know, the entire screen while we're playing. All right, what are we doing? I can't seem to create a maneuver node. And I guess I don't have enough delta V to do the flyby. What should I do now? Perform the MUN flyby. Your best option is to return your spacecraft to Kerbin safely. So GPT-4 right now, yes, it's part of the Plus service. So you have to subscribe. It's $20 a month in order to access GPT-4. The free service includes up to 3.5, 3 or 3.5. If you do the Plus service, you can get in early right now with GPT-4. And then at some point it will be free. One thing to note, I did see a tweet by somebody today that mentioned if you use Bing as a search engine, they've already incorporated GPT-4. So that's a free way to use GPT-4, but it's inside of the Bing search engine. I'm not really interested in using Bing search engine. I want to have conversations to tell me how to get to the MUN. So, yeah, I sacrificed $20 for that. Yeah, exactly, Temper. Limit of 15 responses per thread. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, right there. With you. Bing. Nah. Okay, so if you're unable to create a maneuver node or don't have enough delta V to perform the MUN flyby, your best option is to return your spacecraft to Kerbin safely. Follow these steps to plan and execute a deorbit maneuver. Create a maneuver node on your orbit, roughly opposite of Kerbin from your current position, 180 degrees. Drag the retrograde marker to around on the maneuver node to lower your periapsis to around 30-40 kilometers. Yep, we've done this before. Check the required delta V. I'm sure we've got it. We're not that high up. Execute the burn, time warp. Once your speed has decreased significantly, stage. Okay, Smiler, you might be right. We might only do the flyby tonight because I keep screwing things up. Deploy the parachute, the MK16 when it's safe to do so. Parachute icon on the bottom right corner of the screen. Bam. You can right click, change from red to yellow and finally to green when it's safe to deploy. Time warp until your spacecraft lands safely on Kerbin surface. If you wish to attempt the MUN flyby again, consider refining your ascent, circularization, and transfer burns to conserve more delta V. Make use of quick saves. Guilty! Guilty as charged! To save and F9 to load, to save your progress and revert to previous stages if necessary. Okay, GPT-4 calling me out. Yeah, 2 days. Well, I mean, I guess you could count this as day 3, but yeah, it was 2 days ago when it went out. We can have goes 5 responses. Wow. I actually would suggest trying out Bing Chat. It is incredibly interesting because its access to the internet means it can do things ChatGPT can't. Yeah, well, I certainly can see that. Yeah, I've thought about doing that because it has, via the search, it has access to more up-to-date information, right? It's not limited. Because GPT-4 has mentioned a couple times already, between last night and tonight, that its data set is limited to September of 2021. Like, it's clear, like, here's my limitation, I'm letting you know, so we're going to roll with that. One of the things, Temper, that I did earlier was I let GPT-4 know that we are now in 2023 and that KSP2 has been released in early access. I also told it that a couple of parts have been renamed, and so now when it's giving me instructions to build rockets, it's actually using the new names because I told it that the names have been updated and changed. So it's taking in the new information that I'm giving it. Now, could I have given it wrong names? Yeah, sure. I could have spoiled the data set, if you will, by doing that, but I chose not to. We're just being completely, like, straightforward here. So, yeah. Incredibly useful for getting example code. Oh, man, yeah. For APIs and code. I totally see how that's an advantage for sure. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to recover our vessel. Where am I here? I'm doing the things. Time warp to here. I gotta switch back to this computer. So for those of you who missed it last night, I have one keyboard, two mice, two computers. So I have to switch. The other computer, the desktop, which is the streaming computer, I've got on Bluetooth. And then this computer, the gaming laptop, I have on the regular Logitech, like, direct connection. So I just hit the two different buttons on the keyboard to switch back and forth between computers. And it takes 2-ish seconds to switch back and forth. I have a second keyboard, but it died. That keyboard's like 15 years old, and yeah. I miss it. I miss it for sure. Look at that view. Look at that view, y'all. Like, so pretty. Oh, we need to be retrograde. And let's check the map again to see. Okay, we're at AP. Periapsis. Let's do a slight little burn. We'll follow GPT's recommendation. 29,170. That's fine. It said 30 to 40. We have a heat shield this time around. We're actually going to come in just fine. Oh, look at that star. So bright. I'm going to turn on the radio out. Let's go ahead and jettison that stage. Go back to retrograde. I like pushing out stages, especially on reentry, at a 90-degree perpendicular trajectory from our reentry, because I don't want to follow debris into the atmosphere. I also don't want debris following me into the atmosphere. So if I can push it out at a perpendicular trajectory well ahead of time, like this, even if we fall at the same rate, it's over there. It's not behind me or in front of me for me to run into it. So, yeah. I hate to say it, but I get that view in KSP1. No biggie yet. Yeah. So here's the thing, Centurion. Last night, GPT-4 brought up Kerbal mods. Because it actually told us, like, yeah, you can use this mod to figure out delta V and do these things. So yeah, if you're using the realism mod or like the different, visualization mods. But yeah, GPT-4, as of September 2021, it actually knows that KSP has mods and that you can use them to enhance your gameplay. All right, I'll have to ask Bing Chat for up-to-date code things and have it summarize it, pass it over to ChatGPT to refine it, workshop it. Copilot in your VS Code. Basically, all your code is AI assisted now. That's huge. And that's the big thing that I'm seeing is that, look, AI is a tool. It's like a second opinion. It's like another person who can just flat out answer your questions. No beating around the bush, no storytelling, no, oh, my day was awful, or I'm tired, or I don't want to answer you. No, it just tells you pretty much what you're looking for, right? So, yeah, via tools that didn't exist more than, what, half a year ago? It's crazy. Yeah, it's so wild. Right, Smiler? So much debris follow craft down, and it's always bad. Okay, we're going to time warp, as recommended by GPT-4, to get to that periapsis re-entry. We do have the heat shield this time. We have the ablative heat shield on. Last night, we didn't have the speed, velocity, altitude, all that stuff to require or necessitate a heat shield. This time, it did recommend it. Like, we're going to the Mun and back, so we might actually need the ablative heat shield. We don't need it this time because we just went to high orbit. We didn't actually go that far, so our speed's not going to be all that crazy. But yeah. Does Google have the same capability? So, yes and no. They kind of released their, what is it, Palm something, right? Yeah, KSP2 doesn't do heat yet. Yeah. We don't get to see any of the graphics or the visualizations either. But yeah, Centurion, it's called like Palm something. I don't remember exactly. There's so much to keep up with these days in regards to AI and development of things. Like, it's hard to keep track of all the different names and words and who's doing what. Alright, let's speed this up a bit. Default name 6. Ah! That's our fuel tank and engine that we jettisoned. Where are we in this? Oh. Wow. Cough drop's not doing the job there. Alright, we're getting there. Are we going to... Yeah, we'll probably splash down. This looks like a splashdown trajectory. Hold up, I need this to reorient. Habit, I know. We don't have heat and thermal stuff, but... Oh, it doesn't automatically drop you out of time warp either when you hit the Atmo. At 70 kilometers, like in KSP1. It does give you a warning. So, you know, there's that. And I keep wanting to look, like, up for the speed and altimeter and stuff. Okay, ground versus sea, 58.5, 57, so about 1,500 meters difference in altitude currently. However, what is our trajectory? Oh, we haven't gotten enough drag yet to bring our AP down. It is coming down, though. PE's coming down as well. So aerobraking is working. I guess we might as well time warp this. We can do 3x in Atmo, right? So 2560 meters per second and falling. Aerobraking's working just fine. AP's dropping below 300, 260, 230. Periapsis has dropped below 10. There it goes. Oh. Look at that. We might still hit land. That island right there. Terrain looks fantastic. The clouds less so, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get a splashdown, it looks like, probably somewhere in this area. But, you know, that's an early access game. They're still working on optimizations and figuring things out. Actually, we might land on the beach. It's entirely possible to hit the beach at this point. Too fuzzy around the edges? Yeah. I'm sure they're working on it. I'm not worried at all. Considering I was playing KSP1 back in like 2013, 2014, I know how it goes. Yeah, we're gonna land on the beach, y'all. No splashdown for us. We're below 10,000 meters, as recommended by GPT-4. So we're going to deploy the chute. The EA status, yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah, give it time. We know these guys are working hard. And they are dedicated and committed. And they love this game as much as we all do. So, you know, it's just a matter of time. And it's definitely, like, clearly, yeah. They're like, it's early access. We're calling it early access. You better believe it's early access. Don't call it anything other than early access. Like, ah. And then we have all those boneheads out there like, oh, look, like, dude, seriously. 0.8 or 9? Okay. I don't even know what version I had. So, I had KSP for a while before it came out on Steam, even. And I've got over 1,000 hours on Steam, so I don't know. Add another 300 or 400 hours before Steam. I don't know. I have a decent amount of hours. I'm nowhere near like some of the big guns that, you know, have 10,000 hours and more. All right, let's time warp, get to the ground faster. 450, what's sea level? 5. Okay, so we're about 80 meters above sea level. Alright, I guess we'll have to try this again. So there were a few things that got messed up on the ascent. Circularization. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll do good this time. Okay, we're down. Recover vessel, confirm. Close. But really we should take it back to at least Space Center or whatever. When you recover a vessel, instead of having to like go and like do all this. It should be automatic like it used to be. Can I? Yeah, because it's like nighttime. I'm gonna time warp us to daytime. That's about when you got it? Okay, cool. I wanna launch in the daytime. Alright. It's the morning. Launch pad. I have no idea. I guess I'll go back to the VAB. Where's my rocket? GPT4 Mun flyby load. Okay. How do you deal with G4 versus 32-bit limitations and all the pain that came with modding beyond limits? Huh. Alright, I am going to tell, excuse me, GPT-4. Okay, we made it safely back home after failing to do the flyby. Attempting making another attempt now. What's it going to tell us? Glad to hear you made it back safely. Thank you. Consider these tips to improve your mission success. Optimize your ascent to conserve fuel. Aim for a more gradual turn during your ascent, starting to pitch over at around 1 kilometer and gradually turning eastward 90 degrees on the nav ball as you gain altitude. By the time you reach 45 kilometers, you should be mostly horizontal in your trajectory. Fine-tune your circularization burn. When you reach your target apoapsis, carefully perform the circularization burn to achieve an orbit with a periapsis of around 80 to 100 kilometers. This will minimize the amount of delta V needed for the MUN transfer. Time your MUN transfer burn accurately. To optimize your delta V usage, try to perform the MUN transfer burn when the MUN is about 45 degrees ahead of your spacecraft. Okay. Create a maneuver node for the MUN transfer. Use a maneuver node to plan your burn. Use quick saves. Use quick saves. Good luck. If you need assistance or guidance, feel free to ask. Fabulous. Alright, going to the launch pad. I'm going to try this again, y'all. It's almost 10 o'clock. Here I thought this was going to be easy. We could do the flyby and then the landing. I guess we'll have to do the landing tomorrow night, but it does kind of outline like, look, you can do things, screw up, and it will actually tell you and help you, give you guidance. Tips for improving, it told us. Alright, we're going. Countdown has begun. Water suppression. It's active. It sparks. Prep for ignition. Alright, we have liftoff. Here we go. I don't know which way I'm facing. It's usually when I start doing some sort of turn that I realize I'm looking the wrong direction with this craft. Because it used to be, so that should be east, right? Towards the sun, sunrise. Okay, we are turning east. Throttle down a bit, conserve fuel. Yeah, even early access, it looks so good. I agree. Climbing out, 6,500 meters in climbing. Continuing to throttle down as we approach what might be Miko, or Max Q, excuse me. 8,000 meters in climbing. $10,000 meters. So it recommended, by the time you reach 45 kilometers, you should be mostly horizontal in your trajectory. So we're still at 11,000, so we got a ways to go for the horizontal stuff. But I think we could certainly throttle up. I love the engine effects now. Like the fact that the atmospheric pressure is reflected in the engine exhaust. Right? Like we didn't get this in KSP1. But it is such a wonderful addition now. Because let's face it, yeah, we have... in terms of atmospheric pressure at this altitude, it's many bars lower. I'm trying to rotate, but again, atmospheric pressure being lower, we don't have the ability to do that. Coming up on staging. Oh, our AP is 118. I'm gonna coast. I wasn't paying attention to that. Let's turn off stabilization. Yeah, we have an AP of 118 kilometers, so that's plenty well and good. We can coast. get ourselves situated for a horizontal burn at that point. We are at 47. We are mostly horizontal. 47 kilometers. 50 kilometers now. We stopped burning, and we are coasting. Because an AP of 117 kilometers, that's pretty phenomenal as it is. Alright, let's lock that in with stabilization. I'm gonna let... How long do we have? We have 2 minutes. Okay, I have enough time to tell GPT. Launch again and are on our way to an AP of 117 kilometers. We still have a bit of fuel in the boosters like last time, so I'm holding on to them for now. What's the response? Great job on your ascent. Keeping the boosters with remaining fuel is a good idea, as you can utilize the remaining fuel to help achieve orbit and potentially conserve fuel in your later stages. Follow these steps to continue your mission. Booster separation. Once boosters run out of fuel, activate the appropriate stage to separate them using the radial decouplers. Okay. Alright, 1 minute 20. We're going to circularize our burn. That's pretty much what I did. I gave it a statement. Okay, we launched again. Here's what we've got. Here's where we're doing. So now it's like, okay, here's what you should do next. Oh, remember to save your progress, F5. I gotta switch back. Switch back to this computer. All right, F5. We've got 1 minute to AP. Okay, we're on approach to that. Thanks to the reminder to quick save. GPT4, you so smart. $40 seconds. I am gonna burn out these boosters. Deploy. All right, we're on the T45. We're still coasting. 35 seconds to AP. Okay, 16 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and burn the rest of the main engine. $11 seconds to AP. It's holding steady because we're burning 10 seconds now. We should have Miko shortly. There it is. Excuse me. Stage separation. Go for burn on the upper stage. There we go. AP in 2 seconds. 1 second. Periapsis is coming up. We have Delta V remaining 2,000 and falling. I forgot to look at that a moment ago to see how much we had when we started. But it's significantly more than the 485 we had last time. Also, I'm not following the prograde marker this time around. I'm keeping it slightly off. Hopefully it's pointed a bit up to keep us raising that periapsis faster. Alright, periapsis at 350 and falling, 340, 330. All right, we're getting there. 1500 delta V and falling. $1,700 meters per second and climbing. PE's passing 260, 250, 1400 delta V and falling. $1,900 meters per second. We have roughly half our fuel remaining. We've hit 50% fuel. So 1,200 meters, 1,200 delta V, which means we started with 2,400. PE's at 50,000, 40,000, 30. All right, I'm gonna start throttling down. PE's at plus 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 60, and 70. Engine cut off. Okay. No. Stop. Oh my gosh. 97. I was gonna type. I forgot to switch keyboards. I did that last night too, didn't I? We got 1,003 delta V remaining. Okay. We have orbit. 118, 865 AP and 97, 274 PE with 1,003 delta V remaining. Congratulations on achieving orbit. Perhaps is that you're in a stable orbit around Kerbin. Now let's proceed with planning and executing the MUN transfer. Set the MUN as your target. Switching back to this computer. Set target. Bam. Look for the point in your orbit where you're roughly in line with the MUN's orbital path and create a maneuver node there. This is usually when the MUN is about 45 degrees ahead of your spacecraft in its orbit. Adjust the maneuver node. Drag the prograde marker on the maneuver node to increase your velocity. Okay, so... Huh. Is that not just like an ideal setup right there? That's very ideal. We have an ascending node of 0.4 degrees. There's 800 meters per second. Oh, there's a transfer. Very near the periapsis. Check delta V requirements. Make sure the required delta V for the MUN transfer burn is within your remaining 1,003 meters per second delta V. If it's close or less than your remaining delta V, you should be able to execute the burn and complete the flyby. MUN transfer burn. When you reach the maneuver node, perform the transfer burn using your LV-909 Terrier engine. This burn may take a few minutes. Okay, so it looks like 808 delta V to get this. We'll have a periapsis of an AP. Yeah, that's good for a flyby, I would say, right? We get there, and then we end up coming back. We'll have nearly 200 delta V remaining on the return leg, which can help us with, you know, adjusting the periapsis and the return and re-entry. I mean, this qualifies as a flyby. Looks good. All right, we're gonna do it. How do I... So the tilde does not bring me back to focus on the spaceship. But I can right-click it and have the option to destroy it. That button should be not right there, that close and easy to accidentally click. Okay, so start burn in 7 minutes 57. So I'm gonna warp to here. Time warp to point. Oh, remember to save your quick saves. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna time warp. F5, quick save. Did I forget to stand up at that last timer when that went off? Okay, we're gonna return prograde. When you reach your maneuver mode, perform the transfer burn using your LV-909 Terrier engine. This burn may take a few minutes. Drag the prograde marker on the maneuver node to increase your velocity. As you do this, your projected trajectory will extend outward. Continue adjusting. Okay. Check delta V requirements. Make sure it's within required 1003. Yep, it was 808. Is 808. And then one transfer burn when you reach the maneuver node. Perform the transfer burn using your LV-909 Terrier engine. Once you've executed the burn and on your way to the MUN, continue following the mission timeline provided earlier. Remember to save your progress using F5. Okay. 28 seconds to the maneuver node. We are pointed prograde. Let's check the map. Yep. Periapsis is there. Oh. Starting burn in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition, full throttle. Stop the burn in 30 seconds. Oh, it gives you a nice little progress bar. Or at least I thought it did. What's going this? Staging timeline. 20 seconds remaining. Let's check our map. Alright, so the AP is climbing. Alright. In 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine shutdown. Okay, that was a bit... I'm slow. That's fine. It's still acceptable. That AP takes us out there quite a ways. Okay. Let's do the time warp again. Should I... Time warp's not going to make a difference for us. However, this return... I'm going to turn this retrograde. I'm going to bring this back down to bring it in line more with the predicted... $184... Okay, 181. Yeah, that's fine. That gives us our flyby. We can delete the maneuver. Fabulous. We have an ascending node of 0.4 degrees. Excellent. Okay, so which line? It's hard to tell because they're very nearly the same color. I think it's this line. Yes, okay. So in terms of UX and visualization, it's a little more difficult than KSP1 to see that, but let's time warp to this point. I should probably F5 again, huh? Game paused. Whoops. Unpaused. Map. What are we looking at? Okay, there's the planet. Oh, I really dislike that. And there's no way currently to disable it, I guess. Where's the mun? Come on. Oh, here we go. So I have to end up hitting F12 twice. No! No! Oh, God. Why did I hit spacebar? Reload. F9. Human error. Way to go, Brad. That was messed up. I haven't done that in a hot minute. So crazy. Momentary panic until I remembered F9, right? Same. But, hey, GPT-4 has been telling us repeatedly now. Quick saves. F5. Alright, so back to this. I was looking at the mun. Alright, I was going to pull up. Did they do anything in terms of user interface today with the update? Because F12 is the screenshot button in Steam, but F12 also brings up in the game that weird menu for something. Have to do it at least once. The inaugural misstaging. It's out of the way now. That it is. Left shift, left control. F9, F5, tab, F2. Space, G, R, G, X, Z. Yeah, they don't even have F12 listed as a command in here. Early access, y'all. There it is. Yeah. So I can't make any changes on that. I ended up having to push F12 twice. Once because it takes a screenshot of that weird menu, and then the second time it gets the screenshot without the menu. So there's that. Anyhow. This is our flyby of the mun as instructed and directed by GPT-4. Okay, let's take a look at the map. This interface is a bit confusing to me. I realize that it has something to do with entering and exiting the sphere of influence, but the lines are not connected. I am going to do the time warp. Entering a sphere of influence. No, quit offering to destroy things. Okay, so it's giving me an AP. Okay, so that's still based on Kerbin, not the mun, because we haven't entered the sphere of influence yet. What I don't know is when I get there. Time warping. Oh, the lines are going to connect, finally. Alright, sphere of influence. Velocity of 322 meters per second, altitude of 2,200 kilometers. There's the moon. There it is. Fabulous. Okay. AP is 4,700 kilometers. PE is 1,700 for the orbital info. Actually, it's minus 4,700. So that... Okay, so there's the periapsis. That's the 1744. And then this is our exit from the sphere of influence. They got rid of the umlauts on the mun. Yes. Woohoo! We made it. We're here. Okay, the arrow GUI. F12 twice. I'll have to go back and delete the screenshots that have that little menu popped up. Oh well. Okay, so we're gonna time warp. Let's check the map. See where we are here. Time warp to point. Oh, look at that AP. Okay. Exiting SOI. Focus on the vessel. Here's the AP. Yeah, sure, okay. It looks good. All right. Shall we tell GPT-4? We've completed our flyby and are now on a return trajectory home. Why can I not right-click the vessel and get information? I don't want to do things to it, I just want the information. Much like the AP and the PE, I want to know spacecraft. Anyhow, AP was 584 kilometers, and current PE is 201,740 meters. We have 181 delta V remaining. Congratulations on completing the Mun flyby. Why, thank you, GPT-4. You're now on your way back to Kerbin. With your current apoapsis and periapsis, you'll need to perform a deorbit burn to lower your periapsis into Kerbin's atmosphere for safe re-entry. Follow these steps. Create a maneuver node. Place a maneuver node on your orbit, roughly opposite of Kerbin from your current position. Lower your periapsis. Drag the retrograde marker on the maneuver node to lower your periapsis to around 30 to 40 kilometers. But my periapsis is currently opposite where I am. And then deploy the parachute. Place a maneuver node on your orbit roughly opposite of Kerbin from your current position. GPT-4. My PE is currently opposite of my position. Now, what? There's an error generating response. Okay. Only one message at a time. Please allow any other responses. Uh-oh. I wonder if we hit our rate, our limit. I'm going to reload the page. Hope that it doesn't completely destroy everything. In that case, wait until you are near your periapsis to perform the deorbit burn. Really? I should be performing my deorbit burn here, where I am now, not down there. I'm going to ask it this next question. Would that be the most fuel efficient time to burn for re-entry? Burning at periapsis? That seems off. My apologies for the confusion in my previous response. In this case, the most fuel-efficient way to perform the deorbit burn is to lower your periapsis when you are at or near your apoapsis. This takes advantage of the Oberth effect, where your spacecraft has more kinetic energy, and thus your propellant used more efficiently. Time warp until you're about 5 minutes away from reaching your apoapsis. Orient your spacecraft. Point your spacecraft retrograde. So we're pretty much at apoapsis. I don't need to come back to this. We're pretty much there. I am going to click on the retrograde. Using your LV909 Terry engine to lower your periapsis. Keep an eye on your remaining delta V and monitor your trajectory. Lower your periapsis to around 30 to 40 kilometers, which will ensure that your spacecraft re-enters Kerbin's atmosphere and slows down due to drag. Remember to save your progress using quick saves. Thanks for the... yeah, okay. No! Oh, shoot. Okay, that's fine. It refreshed. I meant to click F5 on this computer to quick save. But I forgot to switch computers. Now it should be... yes. Alright, a little bloop for the quick save. We are retrograde. Let's check the map. Periapsis. Alright, so let's burn slightly. Periapsis 100, 78, 72, 63, 45, 30. That looks good. It does make me wonder. Well, we have the ablative heat shield, so we should probably be fine, right? Yeah, we should be fine. Alright, GPT4. What else did you say? Or apoapsis. Fine, we did that. Orienter spacecraft, pointer spacecraft, retrograde. Yep. Perform the deorbit burn. Lower periapsis to around 30 to 40 kilometers. Yep, we're at 30,528 meters, 30 kilometers. Which will ensure that your spacecraft re-enters Kerbin atmosphere and slows down due to the drag. After performing the deorbit burn, follow the steps mentioned earlier to prepare for re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Okay, Centurion. Thanks again. Glad you were here, and yeah, we'll see you next time. I think, yeah, it's 10:30. By the time we safely land and recover our vessel, it'll be time to end stream anyhow, so yeah. But tomorrow we can do the landing attempt. Who knew we'd run into so many different issues tonight? In no small part, to me, human error a number of times. But yeah. Let's do this too. I need a bio break, so I will be right back. And we're back. Something else. So I just had a thought, y'all. Let me pull this up. I have another thing available. I wonder which one will be best. Let's try it with this one first. I don't know if there's a limit to the characters or what have you, but copy, paste. I like Sarah. Tell me if you can hear this.
After performing the deorbit burn, follow the steps mentioned earlier to prepare for re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially before critical moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, I missed it.
Good luck with
Did
your
it say
return
the whole
to
thing?
Kerbin.
I had to turn the volume up over there. I'm going to listen to it again because I didn't get to actually hear it.
After performing the deorbit burn, follow the steps mentioned earlier to prepare for re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially
But
before
you guys hear
critical
it, yeah?
moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your return to Kerbin.
That's so weird. How come I can't hear it? Hear it fine. Okay. That's weird, because I can't hear it over there. Oh, did I mute that? I'm gonna try it again. Sorry. I can hear the music now.
After performing the deorbit burn, follow the steps
There it
mentioned
goes.
earlier to prepare for re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially before critical moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your return to Kerbin.
Okay, so I'm gonna try a different voice. Let's try this other website. It's gonna use some of my credits, but that's fine. I wanna test it out anyhow. Just to give y'all a sense of... Okay, and on this one we like, well, it's a toss-up, Bella or Rachel. Bring the music down a bit. I'm gonna go with Bella for this one. Alright, it is generating 394 characters.
After performing the D-orbit burn, follow the steps mentioned earlier to prepare for re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially before critical moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your return to Kerbin.
Thank you, Bella. So one was Sarah on the d-id.com, and the other one was 11 Labs. That was Bella. Which one do you think was best? Hear it double or an echo? Yeah, so I had to turn up the TV so it's coming through the mic so that I can hear it. Let me turn this back down again. That's why there was the echo, just so you know. Yeah, Bella is best. So that one is the first one that I used is the DID. Now here's the thing, with DID, it also provides an avatar. Where's OBS? I want to add a scene temporarily. Window capture? Okay, so here's DID. I think it's .com, right? Yeah. And then the other one is 11 Labs. So 11 Labs, I think, by far has the best voices I've ever heard, ever. I'm just trying to get all these links so that you guys can click on them. Okay, so DID D-ID, that was, that's Sarah. Here's the key, and then 11 Labs, that was Bella for that voice. But here's the key difference with D-ID. I can generate a video now. I thought, oh, I need to log in. Hold, please. Logging in. All right, we're creating video. Whoops, I guess I gotta go grab that text again because I lost it. I'm gonna grab the last part of it. Should make it shorter as well. Choose a presenter. The voice here, we're going to use a Sarah. Okay, so now, the voice you heard, maybe, but once we generate the video, maybe it will convince you. You can see I've used other avatars for other projects here too. Testing things.
Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially before critical moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your return to Kerbin.
Good luck with your return to Kerbin. So that's D-ID. So the voice isn't quite as good, but they can map it to a face. So you can add an avatar, you can add different faces, different people, right, to that. So for example, one of the other ones that I did, I don't remember what these were.
Hello everyone. I'm Jen, an AI chatbot designed to help you with anything you need. Whether you're looking for advice, need help with a task, or just want to chat, I'm here for you. I'm always learning and growing, so don't hesitate to ask me anything. Let's have some fun together.
Yeah. So you can load different faces. They have some preloaded ones as well. These were generated from different other AI. You can generate on their service. You can generate AI presenters. You could choose this face, for example, animate it just the same, right? So it's pretty wild what you can do in terms of the capability of these systems with AI now. But yeah, in terms of best voice, that's 11 Labs, this one here.
After performing the D-orbit burn, follow the steps mentioned earlier to prepare
so
for
much better.
re-entry, deploy the parachute, and safely land on Kerbin. Remember to save your progress using quick saves, F5 to save and F9 to load, at various stages, especially before critical moments or major burns. If you need any assistance or have questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your return to Kerbin.
So, yeah, there's that. At any point, we can add to and modify GPT-4 to sound or look like whoever or whatever we want, I suppose. The thing about the DID service is that it does have to be able to recognize a face in order to animate it. If it's not a recognizable face, it won't be able to place the lips and do the head movements properly. So there is that aspect of it that's required for using that service. Visio from Boston Dynamics, the robot dancing? Which one? There's like multiple dancing videos. Is it the dog one's dancing, or is it the two-legged one dancing? Or is it the combination of the bipedal with the dogs, everybody dancing? Like, there's so many of them, right? Alright, let's switch back to the game computer. Where are we here? It's 11:15. I am going to time warp. I'm gonna do this. Do you love me now that I can dance? Yeah, it's a good one. AI is gonna take over the world with the dance off. All right, what is our current altitude is 1,000 kilometers. So I'm gonna time warp to this point. I mean, here's the thing, right? In theory, we should be able to set up a voice to text. So me speaking into the microphone should go in, and then we should be able to plug that text into ChatGPT4, right? Via probably an API. And then GPT-4 will read that text, type out a response, and then via that API send it back to a voice emulator, such as DID or 11 Labs, to speak it back to us. At this point, it's just a matter of me figuring out how to do that, I guess. I don't know. And good news, they just want to dance with us, right? All right, we're 390 kilometers on approach. How are things looking? Possible splashdown there. We're coming pretty hot, 2,500, coming up on 2,600 meters per second. It's a good thing that GPT-4 told us to add in that heat shield. What is this weird? Oh, that's the, that's KSC. Kerbal Space Center. It's so weird that, oh, the icon. What? Okay, so it's a pixel icon, but it's pasted onto the surface of the planet, and since the planet's curved, it clips over the icon. Okay. Early access, let's remind ourselves, early access, it's okay. This is not a problem. Alright, let's do our radial. Or I guess we should probably be on the normal then, huh? Not the radial. And then let's kick off that booster, or that upper stage. Goodbye, so long. Thanks for all the fish. And then turn back to retrograde, prep for re-entry. How much of a delay between the text response generated and hearing the audio version of it? That's a good question. I imagine it would have to, you know, take into consideration, so A, how fast can it convert my speech to text, and then that text via the API going over to ChatGPT4. So there's probably fractions of a second there because it's the internet, right? GPT-4, as you saw, types out kind of slowly at the moment. Once that is all generated, then it can push that via the API back out to the voice synthesizer. So you've got to wait for GPT-4 to finish its response, which in some cases we've seen it's kind of long, especially when it's creating instructions for, you know, building the rocket. Like put the MK1 pod, and then the stage separator, and then the field, like, those are long instructions. So you got to wait for all that to happen. It won't start speaking right away. So those are considerations that would have to be looked at in terms of creating that system. If you could get it to start transmitting the text as soon as it started generating it, like live, that would certainly save you a lot of time in that respect, right? Because then you wouldn't have to wait until the end of whatever it's saying. If it's a short response, it's probably fine. You can wait a second or two for that response to get generated. But in the case of what we're doing, I mean, it's rocket science. The instructions are kind of long in some cases. So you may be waiting for 30 seconds as it generates the response before that even gets to the voice synthesizer. So, yeah. That makes me wonder if GPT-4 can create multiple separate responses to a query. Okay, hold up. I need to focus on reentry first. I was going to switch keyboards and ask it the question, but then also, we're coming in kind of hot here. We're at 3,000 meters per second. We got some reentry stuff to worry about here. Brad should not be doing silly things like that. Oh, look, there's KSC. There's the runway. Huh. So they moved the runway onto the other side of the spaceport, of the Space Center. I never noticed that before. Not runway, runways. There are now 2 runways, right? 4 different launch pads. VAB and stuff is all pushed closer to the beach now. It's an interesting design decision they made there. Alright. I could have swore that altitude just went up momentarily, but it's coming back down. Alright, 3,000 meters per second, re-entry, 80,000 meters and falling. What's our AP doing? It's still out there. PE, oh, there it goes, it's starting to fall. Oh, we just got below 70,000. Now it's falling on the AP, that's good. Okay. This is going to be interesting. How many times are we going to go around this planet on this re-entry? Can we make it down on this first pass? We have a periapsis of 30,000 meters, plus a bit. AP's down to 5,300 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers and falling. So that could be just fine. PE of 28. All right, AP's dropping below 2,000. Yeah, I think we're fine. We are going to splash down on this. Yeah, because we're not even to periapsis yet. In fact, it keeps moving away. And the AP's coming down. We're below 400 kilometers. 90 degrees to the one in KSP? That's a good question. I don't remember. It looks... From what I remember, it looks parallel. It's just on the other. It's just on the other side of the Space Center now. Because the runway always went out or in from the ocean, right? So No, I'm pretty sure it was an east-west. Because I always remember, like, taking off into the water. Unless we're experiencing some sort of Mandela effect and I am misremembering things, but look at those mountains. Like, I get it. The mods for KSP, some of them are pretty great, but the fact that this is now the stock game engine in early access and it looks this good, like, man, just wait a year. As they get all the optimizations, you know, loaded and in, like, it's gonna be exciting. It's just gonna keep getting better. I'm so looking forward to that. Alright, Bill. Did his name change? I thought for sure we launched with, like, Maslon or something or other. But we got Bill in there right now. Go figure. Alright, 13,000 meters and falling. We're still at a pretty good clip, over 300 meters per second. Starch face! As a low-graph shark world, Kerbin could have high mountains. True. Alright, 10,000 meters and falling, 256 meters per second. That's pretty good. Our parachute is not green yet, but I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Brain starts slowing down around 12 here on Eastern Time. Yeah, it's coming up on 11 o'clock here in the next couple of minutes. So, once, like I said, once we do the splashdown, recover the vessel, I will call it a night. But also, Smiler, you actually turned out to be right. We were just gonna do the flyby tonight. I was overly optimistic, thinking we could do this and land on the Mun. But hey, that gives us something to do tomorrow night, right? We'll see if GPT-4 can launch us and land us on the Mun, and then return safely back to Kerbin. All under the direction and instruction of GPT-4. Speaking of GPT-4, let's update. Whoops. Our parachute has reefed, and we're about 350 meters, whoops, 350 from splashdown. Getting hard to get comment, question, and response in the time restraints of Eclipse. Ah, gotcha. Great, you're very close to completing your successful return from the Mun flyby mission. As you approach splashdown, follow these steps. Monitor your descent. Keep an eye on your altitude. Also, I'm gonna grab a couple of screenshots here, because this is pretty phenomenal looking. Can I? Oh, there it is. F2. That still works. Does that work? I thought they were still on GPT-3. No. So 3.5 was released just a while ago. And now we're in early access, so to speak, with 4, which was just 2 days ago. Or basically 3 days ago. But yeah, 2 days ago. So, look at that. You do have to pay. So I went ahead and sacrificed the $20 for y'all to get in on the early access for GPT-4. $20 a month is a subscription for GPT Plus, the service which allows you to do those sorts of things, such as use advanced features like 3.5, and now 4. So, yeah, time warp if you wish. To speed up the remaining descent time, be cautious not to time warp too much as you approach the surface. Splashdown. Your spacecraft will splash down in water, completing your Moon flyby mission. Congrats on your successful mission. Okay, so let's get this in, let's copy that. And then, oh, I guess I'll use the mouse. Should we use Jenny's voice this time as the assistant? Let's see what that sounds like.
Congratulations on your successful mission. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask. Good job, and happy exploring in Kerbal Space Program.
Let's use 11 labs. Let's try Rachel this time, so we know what Bella sounds like. Let's generate that.
Congratulations on your successful mission. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask. Good job, and happy exploring in Kerbal Space Program.
And there you have it. So here's the thing. You get all of it. So I can actually go in, I can select which model I want to use. So there's Legacy 3.5, Default 3.5, and now 4. Rachel was really quiet for us, but I think she sounds good. Okay. So those are the options. So you do have to select it to begin with. But yeah, with GPT Plus, you're able to use 3.5 Legacy or Default, and now GPT-4. But yeah, I have the desktop audio on the streaming computer turned down for a couple of reasons, but yeah, hopefully it all works out. So at some point, yeah, we should be able, like you were asking earlier, Smiler, like at some point we should be able to put those things together, generating voices and responses and all of that stuff. It seems entirely within the realm of possibility. Like it's just programming at this point. It's just code. You just have to put it together. And I don't know how to do that yet. Maybe I should ask GPT-4. It knows code and stuff. I mean, heck, it was doing rocket science equations for us last night, right? Wild stuff. But yeah. A lot of promising improvements. How do you find it compares to the old GPT? Dude, it will correct itself. Like, I will ask it questions, not telling it that it was wrong. I can just ask it a question about something that it said and be like, oh, oops, my bad. Here's the correction. What was the question just before entry that you were going to ask GPT-4? Oh, shoot. I don't remember. I should have written it down or typed it down somewhere. Or at least spoken it out loud so you could have heard it too. What were we talking about at re-entry? Won't take more than a minute. Okay, cool. So, here's the other thing, Starchface. GPT-4 can also do math. Like, actual math. Let me scroll up to yesterday's stream. Yesterday's conversation. I have it all in here. This is how we started out tonight, actually. There were some questions that I had regarding the math, and so GPT-4 was like, oh yeah, in my previous responses, I used Kerbin's mass and gravity for calculations, not Earth's. Here are some key parameters for Kerbin. These values are used when calculating orbital parameters, delta V requirements, and other aspects of spaceflight. So I'm like, okay, so what are Earth's key parameters? It responded, giving us those numbers, those values, and noting those delta V requirements and other aspects of spaceflight in the real world. Please note that the Kerbal Space Program uses Kerbin, which has different parameters, as I mentioned in my previous response. Now I'm going to scroll back up even further because there's the math stuff. I also told it that KSP2 has been released. One of the parts was renamed, and one of the engines has a different performance than what it has on record. But let's see, how far back do I have to go? It does not. It knows that it is cut off at September 2021. So it doesn't have... Look at this. Look at this formula. Okay. So I'm asking it, can I make it to orbit? So is that enough to make it to orbit? Oh, can ChatGPT4 create multiple separate... Okay. We'll do that in just a moment, Smiler. Thanks for looking that up. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I asked it this question. If the remaining delta V that I had was enough to make it to orbit. And here's the response. To determine your delta V, your remaining delta V of 186 meters per second is enough to raise your periapsis from 63,823 meters to a stable orbit above 70,000. We can use the rocket equation and the given information about your spacecraft. Given current mass initial, so we had a conversation prior to this question regarding the mass of the spaceship, because I was asking it this question. It's like, well, I don't know what your space, like the configuration. So I told it it had the MK command mod, the decoupler, the FLT400 engine, or fuel tank, and the LV909 Terrier liquid engine. So it's like, okay, great. Here's your current mass. I then told it how much fuel I had remaining. It's like, okay, here's your remaining fuel. And then the liquid fuel engine has a specific impulse of 345. I had to correct that tonight, not last night, because we overlooked it. But I did correct it tonight. It's 335. Anyhow, it does the math with those numbers. The mass, the remaining fuel, oxidizer, right? And then we can use the rocket equation to calculate the actual delta V. So showing ISP, all of this stuff. Which it estimates, based on the information that I gave it, that I actually have a higher delta V than what is showing up on the display. And then it goes on to say, with this much delta V, you should have more than enough to raise your periapsis above 70,000 meters and achieve a stable orbit. In fact, you could potentially perform additional maneuvers, or even plan for an interplanetary transfer with this remaining delta V. Yeah, definitely temper. I did not shut this down. This is all one KSP thread from last night to tonight. And, so I'm asking it all these questions, right? And it's giving me responses. But, yeah, we can go up. Here's where we're talking. So, I asked it, how much does my spacecraft currently weigh, given what I told you? Like, it was telling me all this stuff, like, you can't do this, because I don't know that. So, I told it we have the Mark 1, the Mark 16, the decoupler, the fuel tank, and then the engine. And so it goes through and it's like, okay, here's your mass fraction, delta V, exhaust velocity. Like, it's doing all this math. So how much does my spacecraft currently weigh based on the information I've given you? So, it relists everything that I told it, right? I can give you the dry mass without fuel of these components, but I don't have information on the current fuel levels. That's why I responded later on with the fuel levels, and it gave us additional, calculations. So yeah, frickin' GPT-4. Look at all this math, all these numbers. It frickin' knows, dude. And it'll run the numbers. Oh, also, check this out. I asked it, okay, fix that. That fixed it. Can you give me a timeline for the launch and the actions I should take at the approximate times, like the T plus times? Bam. Here's a general timeline. T minus 10 seconds. Press the Z key, set your throttle max. Press T key to enable SAS. T plus 0. Launch. Press the space bar. T plus 45 to 1. 45 to 60 seconds after launch at around 10,000 meters altitude, gently start tilting. It's literally telling me how to fly this stinking rocket. Right? So, yeah, exactly, Star Trace. It give you results that are superficially look good, but when you look closer, there would be errors. Have you checked the math? So we did go back and ask it some of those questions again tonight to figure it out. And it's like, well, based on what I had, the information available, and knowing that there are variables involved, including your piloting skills, that was definitely an estimate. It was not exact. But if I asked it, what is 2 plus 2, it will give me an exact answer. It will say 4, right? But in those complex computations, in addition to the human aspect of me piloting, that impacts that performance down the road. So, yeah. Temper. I think it's supposed to have a context length of up to 32,000 tokens. Yeah, it's like 25,000 words. 32,000 tokens, 25,000 words. I should trust that. 3.5 tends to self-prototype its messages before too long. Interesting. This makes me want to watch Chris. I know, right? Because he talks about, rocket equation stuff in that ad. But, oh yeah. Here's something. So we built the rocket, right? And it tells me the staging, and it tells me these 4 stages. Right? So, and it's like, now you have a more detailed 2-stage rocket. But here's the thing. I told it, there seems to be a problem with staging. I see 5 events, not 4, as you instructed in number 10. So here's number 10, where it shows the 4 stages. GPT-4 goes back and says, apologies for the confusion. It seems I overlooked the staging for the decouplers. Here's the correct staging setup. GPT-4 can reanalyze what it has previously said, find the error, and we're doing rocket science here, y'all. It can go back and look at its previous response and be like, oh yeah, I did recognize that. You had 3.5 do that a few times? Yeah. 4 does it consistently. Like, there was a time I didn't even tell it was wrong. I just said, can you double check this for me? That's all I said. Can you double check this for me? And it's like, oh, hey, apologies for the confusion. Yeah, we actually left out this thing, and this, like, here's what it should this is what it should be. It'll sometimes not actually commit to the fixes it presents. Ah, interesting. Yeah, 4 is definitely much more, I guess, reliable. I'm going to put quotes around that because I'm not sure that's the appropriate term. But it's definitely more reliable in terms of reevaluating previous statements and finding errors and then correcting for those. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. So, yeah, let's go all the way back to the beginning. So here you can see it starts out with the GPT-4. And I just straight up ask it, are you familiar with the game Kerbal Space Program? And it's like, yeah, initially released in 2011. Realistic orbital physics engine. There's also a sequel, which was announced in 2019, and is being developed by Intercept Games under the supervision of the original creators. And then I ask it, so you're familiar with all the parts and their names and functions? As an AI language model, I have a general understanding. So it goes on and it talks about that. And then it talks about parts and what they do. And I'm like, oh yeah, wow, it really, and it's listing parts. M700 survey scanner, the HG5 high gain antenna, like, it knows names of things. This is your only experience? Yeah. To argue with you about it being wrong. That is wrong about that. Well, here's the thing. Up until a couple days ago, yeah, it probably did do that. And there's that New York Times article and things where, yeah, it would argue. But no, here it's definitely more on the side of a helpful assistant. I imagine that has to do with the training models and the instruction sets. They've updated certain rules in the language model for how it interacts. So, yeah. Or it repeats its earlier error. Ah, interesting. Yeah. So there was a time tonight. Oh, here's the first time. Assume I am a brand new player. Can you help me build a rocket to get to space? Of course. Here's a step-by-step guide. Launch vehicle assembly building. Command module. In the VAB, choose a command module for your rocket. For beginners, the MK1 command pod is a good choice. Like, it literally just lists out. Click this, click that, attach this to that. Fuel tank, engine, staging. Something that even as a, a veteran, like, I forget to do my staging. It tells you to do staging. Add fins. Crew, make sure you have crew. Save and launch. Then it tells you how to launch. Throttle up, press the Z. T for stability assist. Launch, press the space bar. Ah. Like, all of these things. How do I deploy the parachute? Oh yeah, stage activation. Oh, and then here, yeah, so it told me how to deploy the parachute, right? And then I was like, but the fuel tank and rocket engine are still attached. What do I do? Oh, apologies for the confusion. If you want to separate the fuel tank and rocket engine from the command pod before re-entry and deploying the parachute, you should use a decoupler. Just in time. Your instructions were a bit verbose, and I was worried for a second there. I'm sorry if they seemed overly detailed, but I want to ensure that you had a clear understanding of the process. And then we moved on to orbit. We got to space. Yeah. Names everything, especially, yeah, impressive. And that's the thing. So tonight, I updated it. I told it at some point, I'm like, hey, right here. Let's see, where is it? I just want to let you know you're actually live in March 16, 2023, which means KSP2 has been released. I was secretly using your instructions in KSP2 to launch rockets. What do you think of that? I don't have emotions or personal opinions, but I'm glad that my instructions were helpful. It's important to note that my knowledge is based on the first game. Many principles of rocketry or mechanics should remain the same, which they do. Okay, so I respond, this is true. Principles of rocketry must... One thing to note, the decoupler you often mentioned has been renamed to the TD12. Thanks for the update. Going forward, I'll refer to the decoupler as the TD12 in the context of KSP2. And then I gave it some additional information. Okay, other things you should know about KSP2 is that it is early released and as such has no science gear or equipment. Okay, great. No science gear. I can provide general guidance, building and launching rockets, orbital mechanics, and maneuvers. And then another update, the LV909 shows an ISP in KSP2 of 335 seconds. They may be important for future calculations. Thanks for providing the updated information. Knowing that the ISP is 335 seconds in KSP2 can indeed be important. So, like, it's recognizing and acknowledging all this information that now I can give it wrong information. It is dependent upon me to give it correct information. But if I want to get the results that I need to succeed, then me as the human user, I should give it accurate information. Right? And then, yeah, I was looking back on your calculations, and I was asking if I had enough delta V. Can you explain the discrepancy? All that stuff. What is the flash explosion on the island? That's a good question. I've been wondering that myself. There's like that little dot out there, right? That's like doing its thing. I don't know. Yeah, there it just went. It was like green. I think, and there's a different one. There's two different, and then there's a purple one. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I know that isn't there another airport or station out there? Yeah, see, there's... Because in KSP1, that island has another airport. So I wonder if that's just, lights related to that airport out there. Yeah, this island right here. Because in KSP1, there's another airport. There's a landing strip out there. So, no worries. Okay, Okay, let's go back to the Space Center. Yeah, the rotating lights on something. Yeah. But in any event, yeah, it goes on. You know, there's incorrect assumptions, differences between KSP and KSP2, calculation errors. So it knows. But it also says, look, if we have more details, we can be more exact and blah, blah, blah. And I also asked it, did you use Earth's mass or Kerbin's? And it's like, no, I use Kerbin's, not Earth's. So yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot, y'all. All right, so getting to the end. There it is. Congratulations. So we'll leave it off there. Come back tomorrow night for our attempt at a Mun landing. Yeah, definitely, Smiler. I am looking forward to it. So, yeah, hopefully, again, 8 o'clock Mountain Time, I should be going live. If I can start earlier, I will try to do that. But, yeah, certainly by 8 o'clock, I would say. So, until then, thank you all for hanging out. I'm glad you were here, Smiler. Again, thank you for your sub, the resub. I appreciate that a whole lot. And everybody else, yeah, encourage you to, if you haven't followed yet already, go ahead and click that follow button so you can get notifications or you can see when I'm live. And we're going to keep using GPT-4. It's only been out like a couple of days, so we're going to keep testing it with its knowledge of KSP, Kerbal Space Program. See if we can make it to the moon and back. Have a good night. Thanks, y'all. See you later.